For more on the Supreme Court judgment granting autonomy to local councils, including calls for INEC to take over the conduct of council polls, let's bring in Dr. Otive Igbuzor, founding executive director, African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development. Thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. First, the reactions have been mixed. We heard from former governor of Ekiti State the other day saying, of course, Ayo Faushe saying, look, it's not really going to work. That, you know, the realities of the local government vis-a-vis the states, do not allow for what the Supreme Court has come up with. He's saying inefficiency at the local government level, it's the local government staff themselves, that jeopardize any hope of, the local governments providing what is needed at that level of governance. Let's get your thoughts first off on the Supreme Court judgment.
I think that the Supreme Court judgment is a landmark decision.
Right.
It's a very good decision for our democracy. Is a necessary step towards more local government autonomy and provision of services. But it's a necessary but insufficient step for that to happen.
How do you mean?
Because the way the government is structured, in fact, many people see government as if government is just to go there and collect money. Government at the three levels, federal, state, and local government, are structured to deliver services to citizens. And one of the basic problems of the three tiers of government is lack of accountability and improper machinery for giving services to the citizens. And there are 5 mechanisms globally that can make that happen. One is internal mechanisms within government itself and its agencies, including financial regulations, procurement procedures, monitoring and evaluation. 2, legislative oversight at the federal level, National Assembly, Senate and House of Rep, at the state level, House of Assembly, at the local government level, councillors. 3, independent institutions such as ICPC, EFCC. 4, media, which is the only body in Nigeria which is given the responsibility by government, by the constitution, to hold government to account. And 5, citizens. The challenge is that at the 3 levels you see, these 5 mechanisms are not working well. If you look at it, you find out that at the federal level, there appears to be more order because those 5 mechanisms focus more at the federal level. If you just give this money to local government chairman and even have INEC to conduct elections, you will create another monster. Remember that there was a time that money was sent to local government to pay teacher salary, and they refused to pay. So what I'm trying to say is that landmark judgment, good judgment to move democracy, especially grassroots democracy at the local level, but it's insufficient. So if the other 5 mechanisms are not straightened.
So listening to you now, I think it's akin to what is already happening at the moment, even in the media when we talk about governance and our democracy. We sort of look at the center, the federal government. Yeah. And now we're going back to the basics. Yeah. There was a time where grassroots governance was working and things haven't actually changed.
Was working to some extent.
So to that extent, shouldn't we also be looking to how we can enhance, now that the judgment is upon us, the insufficiency you spoke about, that you have discovered, how do we make it sufficient to the extent that we can now start talking about monitoring, evaluation, and even putting the anti-corruption agencies to be true watchdogs along with the media?
That's why I said it's a necessary but insufficient condition. So it's the first step. The next step is for the election of local government to become more credible. And I support the call for INEC to conduct those elections.
So it should be taken out of the state electoral commission.
I mean, we all know, we are all seeing what be happening. And that is why people must know that, no matter how strong you are, no matter how powerful you are, in this 21st century, you cannot just be impudent and do things with impunity. The Constitution is very clear that local government will exist through election, Section 7 of the Constitution. As we speak, 22 states, over 400 local government areas are running caretaker committee. It's akin to the period of military rule.
Yeah.
Because it's unacceptable. You know when the tenure will end, just as we know the tenure at the federal level. Can you imagine what will happen, for instance, if at the federal level is by appointment after the tenure of a president? That is what they are doing at the local level. So it's a first condition. But we must quickly now move so that proper elections are conducted at the local level, and then for all Nigerians, because one of the challenges I see with many analyses, many thinking, is that people just want one thing that will be done so that they will be able to do. There's no one thing.
Right. A combination of factors.
A combination of factors.
So very quickly.
And we must do it at all these levels. If we want government at the three levels to have, if you look at it very well, you will discover that the first function of the local government in the Constitution is that they will be part of the economic management of the state. Look at the functions of the Constitution: registration of birth, registration of marriages, a lot of things. The local government, how many of them are doing it? Nothing. So we must go back to the conception that government exists to provide goods and services to the people, especially public goods.
How prepared are the local governments now? Because we're hearing that some states are hurriedly, organizing elections.
They've just done election in Delta.
In Delta, and they swept, the party
Of
in
course,
the state
of
swept
course.
the
Even
whole,
where,
everything.
for instance,
Right.
For instance, we know that during the last election, there was strong opposition in Delta. The place of the gubernatorial candidate, the councillor will be PDP. Isn't it laughable? It's laughable.
So how do we get the local governments to actually work the way they should?
That is the point. There is no shortcut to it. First is that the elections has to be credible. Secondly, and I have made this point several times, if you look at it, people are always saying that there is leadership problem in Nigeria. If you look at the problem, there is political leadership problem in Nigeria. Not just leadership, it's political leadership. If you go to academics, Nigerians are providing leadership globally. If you go to the media, Nigeria are providing leadership globally. If you go to religion, Nigeria are providing leadership globally. If you go to labor union, Ayuba Waba was just stepped down as the president of International Confederation of Trade Union. Dr. Osahoe Nabulele has just stepped down as the global president of World Medical Association. Nigerians are doing excellently well in terms of leadership in the several assembly, World Trade Organization, United Nations, African Development Bank, the richest people in Africa. But the challenge is that many of the middle class and decent and good and religious people in Nigeria think that politics is dirty. And so it is left until Nigerians see politics as something that everybody must engage, until citizens do their bidding, not just voting, but holding government to account, until media, see that it's not just a profession to make money, but corporate social responsibility. Absolutely. Until ownership of media change what we have, the asset we get today, that the only people who can pay is those people who can bring their news to be heard. And, until we see all of this in society, we will continue
I think
challenges.
the point there is political leadership, as highlighted by you, Dr. Igbuzor. I would like to thank you for your time. Many thanks for coming on Newsnight.